welcome everybody. It is Wednesday and we are doing a product spotlight. So today we are going to dive into the world of industrialized wood-based construction at the IWBC. That's right, the Industrialized Wood Based Conference. This is where suppliers, buyers, and specifiers come together to explore opportunities, exchange ideas, and introduce cutting-edge technologies that are shaping the future of this industry. Today, we have a special guest. That's right, Art Schmon, Vice President of EWP and Mass Timber and Managing Director of IWBC at Force Economic Advisors. And to top it off, we have an exclusive $200 off. That's right. We're going to give out a $200 off discount code on today's show. So you're not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to stay tuned and you're going to get that $200 off because this is one of the best conferences going, and it'll be gone before you know it. So, and it's coming up in just a few short weeks. But before we get into it, let's thank our sponsors. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for offsite modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. Brought to you by Greatech, one of the largest Autodesk partners globally and software developer of the PowerPack Advanced Design, Advanced Steel, and the StruxSoft product line. The complete solution to automate wood and light gauge steel framing, design, and documentation all the way out to CNC output, model, design, and manufacture with StruxSoft. Learn more at StruxSoftSolutions.com. All right, and a big shout out to StruxSoft, our newest and greatest sponsor. We really appreciate you being part of everything that we do. So if you're not familiar with Greatech and StruxSoft, make sure you go visit them. Say thank you, say hello, because we cannot bring you all these innovative conversations and all these awesome trade show guests and bring you the inside scoop without them. So without further ado, let's bring in Art Schmon. Hey, Art, how you doing?
Hey, Dave, how are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm great. Listen, it's Wednesday. And you know why Wednesday is so great, Art?
Why?
Because we still have 2.5 days to build it better before the weekend. So hump day, my butt. We got plenty of time left to do something great in this industry.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
Yeah, well, we're grateful to have you here, Art. For the last several years, IWBC, the Industrialized Wood Based Conference, has been taking place across the United States. This year, it happens to be in Washington, D.C. It's growing bigger and badder every year. And when I say badder, I say it in a good way. And it's really growing. And I have to say, became one of my most favorite conferences to go to because there's real conversation. There's real people there that are looking to do business, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, Dave. Yeah, the conference is in its 5th year now, and we're really excited to be in Washington, D.C. for this conference. And we're going to have on the exhibit floor, we're going to have thousands of architects, engineers, owners, developers, contractors, and of course a lot of producers. So we're really excited about it.
Well, and that's what's great, too. Like when you say a lot of producers, there's a lot of keynotes. It's in conjunction with Green Build, which is great as well. So you're really getting 2 awesome conferences all wrapped up into one. But before we get into this, Art, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are, give us an update on what you're up to these days, and then we'll hop into what's happening at IWBCC and get into a little bit of a presentation that you have for us. But the floor is yours.
So you don't want me to start at the hospital this time?
Well, you know what, Art? I definitely want you to start at the hospital.
Okay. Well, actually, it was in Milton, Massachusetts. I'm actually an American masquerading as a Canadian. My mother and father, who were living in Canada at the time, my mother shot down to Boston to have me born there so that I could qualify for the presidency. So far, that hasn't worked out, but you never know. But in any event, fast forward to my career, which began with a company called Macmillan Bloedel, which some of your listeners may remember. It was Canada's largest forest products company. And while there, I was involved in the development and commercialization of a product called Paralam. And then fast forward again, I was managing director of European operations for a company called Truss Joist Macmillan, and introduced I-joist, LVL, LSL, and PSL into the European market. And then fast forward to 2009, I was lucky enough to join Forest Economic Advisors, and I've been with them ever since. And basically, my activities involve both doing forecasts for engineered lumber and also for mass timber. And for the last 5 years, I've been focused primarily on mass timber and, of course, the IWBC conference. So when the mass timber specter has really been growing, and actually I have a few slides, Dave. Whenever you're ready, I can show you a few slides to give your listeners a little background on mass timber. I know Bill Parsons was on very recently, and perhaps some of you saw his presentation. Oh, I should add, very important, that Woodworks is co-producing IWBC. And so Bill Parsons is a close partner to me, and we work together. We've been working together for the last several months on this conference, but we're just delighted to have Woodworks with us. They, of course, are an organization that have a tremendous reputation particularly for education, architects, engineers, contractors, developers across the U.S. And so, but Bill was on your show, and he showed you a few slides. I'll show you a few more that I think your listeners might find interesting. When we're talking about mass timber, of course, we're talking about a bunch of different materials. This is a look at the predominant mass timber panel products. You see CLT, or cross-laminated timber, and then you see DLT, which is dowel laminated timber, nail laminated timber, glued laminated timber panels, and finally a relative newcomer, VLT, or called sometimes MPP, mass plywood panel, which essentially is a veneer-based mass timber panel product. And let me just go forward here. But the principal ones are CLT and glue lam when you're looking at mass timber in North America. And just to give you an idea of how this has grown globally, this is a look at the world, and what you're seeing is that there are actually 144 CLT and DLT plants around the globe at the present time. 99 in Europe, that's 75 CLT plants, 74 CLT plants, 25 DLT plants in Europe. And then we've got North America, 17 plants. So we're about 10 years behind Europe in getting into this game. But even South America now has 6 plants. Mm-hmm. And if you look over at China, you'll see 5, Japan 10, Australia 4, New Zealand 2. So it's worldwide phenomenon, and it's growing very rapidly. And Europe is the dominant force in this market. Whoops. I don't have percentages here. I should have those on there. For some reason, they're not there. But basically, about 70% of the global capacity is in Europe. North America is second, but North America is catching up. This is kind of a fun couple of slides to look at. This was the way things looked in 2016, just 7 years ago. In North America, we had 4 mass timber plants. Today, we have 17. So just in 7 years, this is what's happened. And the ones in blue are plants that we think may be coming in the near future. But right now, we have 13 CLT plants, 1 DLT plant, 1 VLT, and 2 GLT plants. So a lot of action happening in North America. People quite often ask, well, what's the future going to look like in North America? And we just say, well, look at Europe. Europe is 10 years ahead of us. I just went through some of those numbers a moment ago, and I think we can expect to see the same thing happening in North America, and it may even happen more quickly in North America than it did in Europe, because we have some things that Europe doesn't. Namely, we have a universal manufacturing standard in North America for CLT, PRG 320, and we've got also a universal model code, which is not universally adopted yet, but it's being adopted state by state in the U.S., and that's creating a lot of headway for tall wood buildings in the U.S. So we've got a lot of things that Europe didn't have, and of course we have the experience of Europe having already done this, which is going to help a lot in terms of the credibility of mass timber in North America. This is just a look. This is something that Woodworks does. Woodworks actually tracks all of the projects that have taken place in the U.S., but they also track projects in design. That is, the projects that are actually in design now. And what you're seeing in this chart is a look at, in maroon, the maroon column is all the projects that have been started or completed in the past 10 years. And I'm not showing you the the y-axis here. That's, you got to sign up for subscribe to our products to get that. But this at least gives you an idea of just what the growth looks like. Mm-hmm. So those are all the projects started or completed in the past 10 years on the left in the maroon bar, and in the blue bar, those are the projects that are right in design right now. So you got 10 years versus now. And you can see it's phenomenal what's happening in terms of the interest level and growth. Now, those in design projects, of course, will take place over the next 2 to 4 years probably. So, but it just shows you what's happening in terms of the interest in this sector. And here's another little, it's a bit of a non sequitur, but this, these are the principal building occupancies where you find mass timber: assembly, business, educational, institutional, multifamily, and student housing. And this is a look at what's happened essentially over the past year with each of these sectors. And you can see, not surprising in business, no one's building offices these days, as you probably know. So business is down, institutional's down, but look at multifamily. Multifamily is charging ahead, even in the current economic climate. So we've had a lot of growth in that sector. And then just a couple of last slides, Dave, just to highlight IWBC itself. It's in Washington, D.C. It's September 26th through 28th. Please go register for this conference. You won't regret it. We have some tremendous educational sessions. Dave's going to be going over some of the agenda in a minute, but it's a tremendous conference. We cover offsite manufacturing. We cover mass timber. We look at DFMA and design for manufacture and assembly. We also look at generative design. We look at, of course, we focus on the reduction of embodied carbon, which is, of course, one of the big advantages of building with wood. Mm-hmm. Wood sequesters carbon. And then finally, we look at all the different ways of delivering wood to the job site, including mass timber, light frame, panelized, modular, and more. So we really want you to come. Please register.
Yeah, for sure. So, Art, why is there such growth right now in this sector? Is it because of the code changes? Is it because it's a better product? What's forcing this change and this growth to happen, in your opinion? I mean, I can't imagine the world just woke up and said, well, we're just going to build it better because we love everybody.
That's good. Good question, Dave. And really, there are three principal factors involved. One, mass timber is a form of offsite construction. Yeah. And I think, I'm sure a lot of your audience out there are familiar with the McKinsey reports that dealt with the issues we're having with respect to very, very poor construction labor productivity. That's across the globe. And we're also having real problems with a scarcity of skilled labor on site. These are two major problems. Well, mass timber addresses both of those problems, but probably the biggest thing that's been driving it in the past couple of years has been climate change. And I think there's a growing recognition across the globe that, okay, operational carbon emissions are extremely important. We've been working on that for 20 years. We're getting a lot better at that. But one of the areas that has been largely ignored until recent years has been embodied carbon. And that's the carbon that basically is involved with the actual construction of the building, construction of the building materials and construction of the building. And this is where mass timber really shines, because it sequesters carbon. It's like a carbon bank. So when you cut down that tree and you put it into a building, a mass timber building, that carbon is locked up for the life of the building. And more now, designers are building these buildings to be disassembled, and so that they can be turned into yet new buildings, and with continued sequestration of the carbon.
Yeah. And I want to take a step back to something you said earlier about Woodworks in that show. What's so awesome about Woodworks is, if you've never done this before, you're interested in mass timber, you're interested in CLT, they are a nonprofit that has an entire team that can not only help you design, they will educate you and walk you through an entire project from the beginning to the end to make sure that you don't have to go through your 10,000 hours and get your butt handed to you. That's what I love.
Absolutely.
About, Woodworks. I mean, they really are out there to help people understand the value in using mass timber.
Absolutely. And at any given point in time, Woodworks is involved in hundreds of mass timber projects.
Yeah.
So when people have a question or an issue regarding mass timber, the Woodworks has all the technical specialists available to help architects, engineers answer those questions. And so they just do a fantastic job. And I think, I'd say we just can't be, we couldn't be more delighted to have them on our team for IWBC. And they, by the way, they also put together a full track of speakers. It's track 3 on our agenda. If you look at it, now those are all, those speakers were all invited by Woodworks. And all of those tracks, by the way, have AIA credits, Dave, just for your information. So.
Yeah, and I got, that leads us into the schedule, but I as well was very fortunate to have Woodworks on the show. So thank you for that, Art, because it really was amazing. And I do think that is a group that can help everybody, and they're not in it just for themselves. They are a nonprofit, and they're trying to make the world a better place. And I love that. Well, here you go. So here's the tracks, track 3 and what have you. Do we want to go through some of this real quick? We got some factory tours. We're going to go see our good friend, Jerry Smalley, CEO of Blueprint Robotics, right? That's on Tuesday, the 26th, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then you're also going to tour DC's first mass timber overbuild. All right, Art, what's an overbuild?
Okay, this essentially is it's a wood building. It's built on top of an existing concrete and steel building. And in this case, it's built from, I believe, the 7th story up. It's 3 stories. I wish I had a photo of it here, but it's an absolutely beautiful structure. And it's doable because mass timber weighs 1/5 the weight of concrete. So in other words, you can add those 3 floors on top of that existing structure, and the structure is structurally capable of supporting that additional load, no problem, because of the relatively light weight of mass timber. So it's one of the solutions, basically, in high density areas to adding livable square footage,
right,
or office space or what have you. And so it's a beautiful building, and I hope people will take advantage of that and go see that. And of course, the Blueprint Robotics factory tour is going to be fantastic, with Jerry and his team there at the plant. Some of you may be familiar with the fact that Blueprint Robotics is just announced that they're going to be building a 450,000 square foot new plant in Windsor, Connecticut.
Right.
And that plant is built entirely out of mass timber, 100%. And it will actually be incorporating mass timber in some of the products that Blueprint Robotics is going to be manufacturing in the future. So that's they'll be talking about that. That'll be a very exciting tour as well. Yeah, there you go.
And here's some Blueprint Robotics. And then, just so everybody understands that they love to build to passive house design, energy efficiency design, fully automated manufacturing facility. They've been around for quite some time now. This is going to be a tour that you're not going to want to miss. So hopefully when you get those discount codes, you can join up and come visit with us, because it's going to be an awesome event. So I just wanted to put that up real quick. And a big shout out to the folks at Blueprint Robotics, because they are building it better every single day. So let's get back to the agenda here, Art. Hopefully I didn't lose it somewhere in my jumping around here. So we have the tours. We got opening night reception. And Art, you said I'd have a couple extra free drink tickets I can hand out. So come find me. I'll be there. I might have an extra drink ticket or two to give you if you can find me, but you better get there early if that's the case. So we have that, but then let's get into it. Wednesday, we start off our track one with Build Back Better with Mass Tinner, Ian McDonald, Lauren Magasco, William Silva, and moderating that is Ricky McLean.
It's Ian McLean, actually. It's who is the director of the Tallwood Design Institute, and they'll be talking about tallwood buildings in that session. And then we've got, of course, Jerry Smalley and his crew in track two, and then we've got from Woodworks, Ashley Kegel, who's a technical director with Woodworks, and they're going to be focused on again the whole embodied carbon issue, which would be really interesting. Then after that, you've got we have an official welcome from me, and I may have a surprise to announce actually during that welcome, but we're not going to talk about in detail now.
Excellent.
And then Bill Parsons is going to get up after that to give an introduction to Woodworks. And then we have Craig Applegath, who's going to be presenting. Craig is a Canadian architect who became probably globally famous when he designed a 105-story tower. I don't know if you knew about this, Dave, but he designed a 105-story tower, which is net zero carbon. Now, that tower will not be built. It's the design, but it's the design right down to the nuts and bolts, and it's showing the feasibility of what can be done with mass timber and just how much embodied carbon can be reduced in the construction. And then down further, we're going to have the M80 building, the 80 M Street building, I should say. The people who were involved in the construction of that building and the supply of materials will be talking in detail about that. And then we're going to have the whole group from ModX. I don't know if you know the ModX people, Dave, but
sure I do.
Ryan Smith, Ivan Rupnik, Tyler Schmetter, they're a super group. Incredibly bright and insightful. And Bill Parsons will be moderating that session. And then another woodwork session with common pain points. With offsite design and construction, how to navigate them, and then we're going to have another exciting keynote speaker. Oliver Lang is going to be speaking. He is with Intelligent City. He's the founder and CEO of Intelligent City. Yeah, this is a very this is a leading edge company. They're based in Vancouver. But they have plans to perhaps move east not move east, but I should say also make an addition in the east somewhere, which he may or may not talk about. But basically, Intelligent City, they are a highly automated producer of mass timber components, and also they are very much involved in very sophisticated design for manufacture and assembly. So he'll be talking about that, and that should be very exciting. And then we have productized buildings with mass timber. And this is an area that's close to my heart. I think this has been one of the keys to the dramatic growth in mass timber. There's a company called Element 5, which has actually developed a productized affordable housing concept, which has really taken off. And so we're going to have Lee Scott and Matt Boland talking about that. And then Craig Curtis, you may remember Craig Curtis from Katerra days. He was the chief architect for Katerra. And now he's a partner of Emerging Building Technologies with Mithun. And he'll be putting on a really interesting presentation on a platform approach to better schools. And I won't go through everything here because will take too long. But
there is a lot of great content.
There's a lot of great content there, and of course, then we have I will go through the next session because it has a famous moderator by the name of Jennifer Cooper. Wait a minute, back up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
By the name of Jennifer Cooper, and that'll be a very interesting session, really, on breakthrough technologies for urban housing solutions.
Yeah, I want to comment on this one because here's what's really cool. If you haven't seen this yet, I'm not going to give it away. You got to come to the show. But imagine a machine that can come to your job site. You can take the wood down as you're demolishing it, put it into the machine. The machine pulls all the nails and screws, scans the whole piece of lumber, recertifies the lumber, cuts off the bad stuff, and then says, here you go. You can use it right away again, right at your job site. That's the type of stuff that we're going to be talking, or Jennifer's going to be talking about at the Urban Housing Solutions. Those are the people that are on the board. There's going to be some really cool stuff there. So that's a super cool panel. I'm jealous.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're moderating at the same time.
I have. Yeah, right. I won't even be able to watch it. Yeah, that's right. We love helping out. So, and then we got Wood for Good, right?
We've got Wood for Good, regenerating communities with mass timber. This very interesting. This will be a fascinating keynote. Dan Tangerlini will be delivering this keynote. He's the managing director of Emerson Collective. Emerson Collective, is a philanthropic enterprise which it was actually founded by Laurene Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' widow, who's the chairperson of that organization right now. Dan has an incredible background. I won't go through it all, but that's going to be a terrific presentation. And then finally, the question everyone has been asking with regard to mass timber: will there be enough wood to meet future demand? It's not an easy question to answer, actually. Right. But we have 3 experts who are going to be addressing it, with Pat Layton moderating. And then finally, we have innovative business models with some well-known speakers, and Francois Robichaud moderating that. And then finally, we have Don't Slow Down the Timber, maximizing other offsite work for schedule gains with mass timber and other woodwork special. So it's a great setup of educational sessions and keynotes. And I think if you come to the conference and dig into those, you're going to be in overload by the time you leave.
Right. And it's not a matter. You will come to the conference. That's what I just heard. You have to come to the conference, especially because I'm about to give you that discount code again. So check the bottom of your screen for the ticker, and you will get the discount code. You will save yourself $200 only right here on Dave Cooper Live. $200 off IWBC. That's all you got to put in there when you go to register, and you want to go to the IWBCC.com website. And you can register to come, and you can hang out with Jennifer. You can hang out with myself. You get to hang out with Art and all of these awesome keynote speakers. So if you want to learn from some of the best in the industry, this is going to be an amazing place to go. And I can tell you, just because the names aren't on their keynote, the biggest names in the industry are always walking the halls at this event. And I think people need to realize that. The Von Buckleys of the world, the Jerry McCaheys of the world. Don't know if they'll be there this year, but they're typically there walking the halls if they're not speaking. And in fact, I moderated a few panels with Von last year, and Jerry, actually. Now to think about it.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. So let's use that discount code below. Art, why don't we just take a moment, show everybody how big the exhibit floor is, and then we can keep this moving along here. So I'm going to put it on the screen, and I'm going to give a shout out, right? Because shout outs are worth having to our sponsors. We got Forward Solutions Group, who is in booth 1547. That's right, in booth 1547, and they're right down here, this big, right in the I don't know, right above 1648 in the blue, 1547. And a big shout out again to our newest sponsor. Thank you to the Struxoff Great Tech Group. And they are in booth 1465. That's right, 1465, which is right in next to 1467 there. All right, tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here. Why do we have red dots around us?
So we have red dots because the IWBC exhibits are in one area, one discrete area. However, there are absolutely no barriers between the IWBC area and the Greenbuild area. Therefore, all of the attendees to the conference, Greenbuild and IWBC, can walk freely as they wish through the whole conference hall, which of course is fantastic for us because Greenbuild typically attracts in excess of, I don't know what the number will be. It'll be between 5,000 and 10,000 people who will be in that hall. And, for those who have an exhibit in the IWBC area, virtually all those people at one time or another during the 2-day period are going to walk by your booth. So this is another reason for exhibiting, and we hope you'll exhibit. Those who aren't exhibiting this year, we'd sure like to have you next year. We've got a phenomenal location next year in Philadelphia. So
yeah, for sure.
There.
And it's very easy to navigate. As you can see, I just clicked on this top left exhibitor list here. You can go in and type in a keyword, whatever you want, or who you're looking for, and they make it very simple to find everybody that is there. You see the big names, Certainty and others. But I think this is very well laid out. It's going to be very easy to get around and obviously network and find the latest and greatest in the products that are out there. All right, what haven't we talked about, my friend?
I think we pretty much covered it, Dave. And once again, I want to thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to tell folks about the conference, and we're delighted to be able to offer that $200 off promo code, which I hope people will take advantage of.
That's right.
And we look forward to seeing you in Washington, D.C.
And that's it. That's right. September 26th through the 28th, Washington, D.C. Hey, listen, you can even go check out some of the really cool museums there. If you haven't been to D.C., it's a cool place to go and to visit. So, Art, thank you so much for taking a few moments and joining us today.
My pleasure. And thank you again, David. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and for the rest of you, right down below there, you can find the discount code that you can use to register and get your $200 off only right here on Dave Cooper Live. $200 off IWBC. I'm Dave Cooper. Art Schmon, thank you so much for joining us all the way from Italy. Art, don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the end of the show. For the rest of you out there, we'll see you in Washington, D.C. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.